In October of 2017, I left work to go out on short-term disability. My job required a lot of travel, and at the time I couldn't even really make it to my workplace, which is like 15 minutes from my house. So I had to leave my job, which was a huge loss. It was a loss of daily motivation, daily purpose. It was a loss of income, obviously, although I'm super grateful for the fact that there was disability insurance, which has helped us immensely to stay afloat. But it was tough. It was a huge part of my life. My job was my primary way of expressing my passion, my purpose, my energy. I don't have children, so I throw myself into work. I remember packing my office with Sarah. I remember it was long and a difficult process because I was pretty ill at that point, and I was very dizzy. It was hard to actually move stuff out to the car, but we'd had offers of people to help us, and I turned those offers down because I didn't really want a big audience because I knew this was going to be really tough. And it was. I remember we packed the final box, and I just looked around the office and cried. I mean, I couldn't help it. It felt like I was losing so much of myself in that moment. And it was hard to leave. In January of 2018, the holidays were over. I'd been home alone already for a few months every day. And I knew that I needed to find new motivation. I needed to find new purpose. Otherwise, it was going to start taking a toll. It was already hard enough to just get up and do whatever I could do, which at this point was not much. I couldn't drive. I couldn't barely walk. Most things, normal things, made me dizzy. About all I could do is sit and look at stuff. And I knew I needed new motivation. I needed a thing. A friend from work told me that he took online surveys as a way to fund some of his fun purchases throughout the year, that he would do these online surveys and that the points that he could redeem from those online surveys he only used for fun things. And when I heard that, I thought, hey, maybe that's something I can do. Sarah and I, we were really tight financially, so fun things, that category, we didn't have a whole lot of money to be able to put there. And I thought maybe I can do some surveys, if I need to stop, if I need to sleep, if I have to take a break, whatever, I can do that. It's something that's only on my schedule. And so I did. I signed up with the survey company that my friend used, and I started doing these surveys. And surveys are a grind. If you've ever done online surveys, they're not particularly, most of them are not particularly interesting. You're basically just providing market research for companies. And the return on your time invested is really poor, generally. We're talking like 75 cents for half hour or so of your time. So the return on time invested is pretty poor. And I could do it so long as my dizziness was not too bad. But the return was just so poor. I was kind of discouraged and not really getting into it. And I remembered my friend said, he used this, he used these points, this money for fun things. And I thought, well, I need a fun thing. I need something motivating to keep me going. And so I tried to think of the biggest funnest reward or goal for sticking with these surveys, doing this grind as I could. And for me, that was a new TV. And just saying that out loud is kind of embarrassing, because I know there's people who are like, what is wrong with you? You're financially tight. Why on earth would you spend time and energy and money to get a new TV? It's completely unnecessary, totally selfish. And it was, and I don't deny it. Our TV was 10 years old, but it's still a good TV. Despite being a good TV, I love movies and games and technology. I'm a big AV guy, and so a new TV was incredibly motivating to me. Not to mention the fact that watching TV was one of the things I could still do, depending on how dizzy I was. So I thought, that's it. That's my new goal. And I did a rough calculation and found that I would need something like 700 hours worth of surveys, if I averaged it out, to be able to afford the TV that I wanted. Because obviously I wasn't going to spend any money on the TV. I was just going to earn the money for the TV. So that was it. That was my job to do. And with this motivating reward at the end of it. And so I started every day, I treated it like a job. I would get up, I would get showered, I would get shaved, I would get dressed, and I would go to work on my surveys in the morning. And depending on how the afternoon went, maybe some in the afternoon, maybe some in the evening. Soon I ran out of surveys on my one site, so I signed up for another site and did surveys there, and then I signed up for a third site and did surveys there. It's every day I had these 3 survey sites I was doing. I also got to do some in-home product testing, which is a side benefit to doing surveys. If you've ever wanted to try out some new deodorant in testing, or toilet paper, I could tell you, you have opportunities to do that. But also some other cool stuff. I actually got to do some product testing for a virtual reality headset, which is pretty cool. At any rate, I attempted and completed somewhere around 1,200 surveys in 4 months. I initially projected it would take me basically this whole year. It was February when I started, and I thought, I think I'll be able to do this by like maybe November or December of this year. I got the TV in June, this TV. I was so excited to have met my goal and met it early. Obviously it was motivating for me. I was doing surveys anytime that I could. But after I got the TV, I started to get nervous because I realized I had lost that motivating factor. And ever since I got it, my motivation for those surveys has dropped off sharply, and I've done a lot less of them. But I had so successfully created motivation for myself for those 4 months, and I've realized that that driving purpose, that energy toward a goal, was completely within my ability to create for myself. I haven't been doing the surveys nearly as much, and I've got a new motivating project. It's this project, this video series. I'm trying to turn that motivation, have a purpose for something other than just entertaining myself, but something that will be for some good, hopefully. But I don't regret it. Whether it was the right decision or wrong decision, or good decision or bad decision, I don't regret that for those 4 months, which may have been some of the toughest months of my life, in terms of not having much to hope for in the circumstances that I was in, because the medication just was not working and my doctors were just as lost as I was. I'm glad I had something to hope for and a goal to work toward. And I want to always, no matter what comes ahead, I want to always find that motivation. And if I can't find it, at least I know I can create it.